yesterday with my other class to make sure that everybody was on the same page. Okay, your class is 301. Okay, I'm going to go back to your class. I'm going to go here. Okay. Okay. So just to review, this is what I'm expecting you to have done. So I'm just going to go straight down. Quizzes and exams. There are 3. I had to add this one yesterday. So that is chapter 1, and it's only 5 minutes, so you're going to have to do that first. This is chapter 2, and this is unit 1, parts of speech on page 328 to 347. You have to read the chapter and complete all of those quick checks before you go on Blackboard and fill in your answers. So it's more than one. It's the ones I selected out of the chapter. So you have 1, 2, 3 quizzes. This is like 5 minutes, 3 minutes each because they're only the comprehension checks at the end of the chapter. 1, 2, 3. So you have 3 quizzes. Everything is due before Saturday. Then going down to English Connect. I made sure that I put the time. You had the pre-test. You have to do the pre-test, which you can do. All of this you can do. You go down to vocabulary practice. Vocabulary practice, you do chapter 2 only. You see it has the date there. That's the only one I want you to do. May the 29th, 6 o'clock. Chapter 2, because you're doing chapter 2. Going back. You're going to
Where do you find that?
English Connect. I hit the English Connect button.
And what one do I click on?
You just click on English Connect and do the pre-test.
And then what one after that?
Okay, I'm going to do it again now. I'm not going to babysit you the rest of the way now. Because this is my second time doing it. Come on now. You got this. You're not an A. I'm not going to be an enabler. Let me go back. Let me go all the way back because I want you to get it. Because next week you're going to be on your own. See, I hit English Connect. You see that button? And when I hit English Connect, all of these assignments for the whole semester comes up. So we're going to slide back up. If you look at the syllabus, you're going to do the pre-test. The pre-test, that's number 1. Then we're going to slide all the way down. And I put in there vocabulary practice. Going to click on vocabulary practice. And you're going to do chapter 2 because you're doing chapter 2 this week. 1 and 2, chapters 1 and 2, and the parts of speech. Here's chapter 2. If you see the due date, it says May the 29th. It's right there for you. So you're going to do chapter 2. Go back to English Connect. So that's the vocabulary. Then you see chapter 1, a pathway to success. You have to do that application test. Then you're going to have to do chapter 2, reading, writing, and vocabulary. That's chapter 2. So we're doing chapters 1 and 2 this week. As well as then you're going to slide all the way down and you're going to do parts of speech, unit 1, parts of speech. All of that has to be due on or before Saturday. So you need to, in addition to, let me go back up. Okay, that's your English Connect, guys. That's all the stuff in the English Connect. Then you have your assignments. And for your assignments, you have week 2 videos. 1, 2, 3, 4 videos. 10 points each. They are worth for a total of 40. So that's your assignments for the week. And let me tell you, do not take a picture because it wouldn't show up when I went to check. I have checked all of your videos. I think I did this class. Just type it, your answers on a Word document, save it, and then go and upload the document. All those picture taking kind of things that you're doing, no Google Docs, that's all you need to do. If it doesn't open up for me, Dr. Wilson is not going back and doing it. You just won't get the credit. You got to make it easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Type your summary, your 3 takeaways in a complete sentence, please, for each video on one document. Save it to your laptop and then just upload it. It's easy peasy. Some did it quite well. So that is your homework assignments for this week. Okay. Now, with that being said, I want to go immediately into your chapters 1 and 2. I got everything ready. I think I was waiting for I did chapter 1 Monday, right or no? Because I got 3 classes. I think somebody I said I would do it today. Did we do chapter 1 about critical thinking? Yes, no? Hello? Can everybody hear me? You don't remember?
Yeah.
Did we do chapter 1?
I remember doing the slideshows about critical reading.
The critical thinking and all.
Yeah.
No, not that. I'm talking about the chapter from the textbook, chapter 1.
We
I
didn't
think
open
I
it
might
yet.
have. Yeah, I think I might have said I was going to do it today. So I'm going to do chapters 1 and 2 today anyway.
Yeah, because we went over
From
critical
the
reading
book.
strategies.
Yeah. Okay, if you have your textbook, I want you to turn to the following pages so we can learn how to do this book. So if you turn to chapter 1, page 1, the first page, it says Integrated Reading and Writing Basics. And then it has a pathway to success. And then when you turn to page 2, it gives the chapter objectives. Okay. I'm on page 2. Does everybody see that? So that means these are all the topics that's going to be discussed in chapter 1. The biggest one is thinking critically about your goals, learning to think critically, career options, helping college, etc. Because the application test that you're going to take for chapter 1 deals with these topics. So that's chapter 1. Then let's go to chapter 2. Turn to chapter 2. And on page 21 starts chapter 2, reading, writing, and vocabulary. It's on page 21. So again, on page 21, it gives the chapter objectives, which is the first thing I want you to read carefully. So chapter 2 is going to explain the process involved in reading and writing, how to use context clues, how to use word parts, how to use a dictionary, and how to keep a dictionary diary. So those are the things that it's expected that you will learn in those chapters. So I've learned now that the PowerPoints is a little different than the ones that I used to have for the last 114, in that they talk about key concepts that's going to be covered in the chapter, but not give an overview of the chapter. So we're going to start 1. And then I'm going to do the 4 key areas that's going to be aligned with chapter 2. After that, you all will have an assignment to do together, which deals with the parts of speech. It's a practice assignment that I'm going to let you all work on. It's only 3 of you here as a team on the parts of speech and preparing you for the quizzes that you're going to be taking this week and also next week. So here's chapter 1 from your textbook. So chapter 1, remember I went over it and it talks about critical thinking. We talked about critical reading. And I said the reason that I did that is because critical reading and critical thinking go hand in hand. You have to read critically so you can think critically. And it's all about making decisions and looking at things. So I'm going to go quickly through the main things and I'll tell you what to write. So you're going to write understanding critical thinking, just the main points. We're not going to add any superfluous information. So I think we talked about, this is an example about why you chose your major, the things that you looked at. And some of you said that it was something I'm always passionate about, or in my other class, something that I admire growing up. You might have seen someone, or you might have had an affinity towards certain things. Like if you're going into nursing, everyone that I had in class that's going into the nursing program said that they wanted to help people, or they had seen someone, or they had had an experience in the hospital that piqued their interest. So the main thing for you to write down is critical thinking involves 3 things. 1, examining your assumption. An assumption is something that you believe to be true that has no valid accreditation or validity. It says something that you think is true. You don't have any proof, but you think it's true anyway. Second thing you have to do is ask relevant questions. You know, you got to look at all sides. Do I really need this? And they go through an example. Okay. And then after asking relevant questions, doing the research, looking at all sides of the issue, then you can solve the problem. That's the most important thing that I want you to remember from this. Okay. So you want to examine your assumptions, ask relevant questions, get different perspectives, and then you can solve the problems at hand. So here it is. It says, learn to examine assumptions. Again, here's the definition. An assumption is a belief or expectation you believe to be true without much evidence. And then they give me an example. Is it really important to have? It's really important to have a cell phone and to check your message. That's your assumption. We're gonna go through this quickly. What does important mean? It means different things to different people. What kinds of things are important? You know, I would say before cell phones, people were making it just fine. But now in the age of technology, you practically feel lost if you don't have a cell phone attached to your hip or in your back pocket. You know, is the cell phone worth the cost? I guess the way things are going in our society today, anything can happen at a moment's notice. Cell phones are an important item today. So they did an example of another assumption. I need a decent car. To some people, a decent car might be a 2021 Lincoln or a 2021 Bentley or a 2021 Ford Edge. It depends on what you think is decent. Or it could be a decent car, could be, hey, a 1997 Jeep, as long as it gets you from point A to point B. So that it will vary, but your job as a critical thinker is to look at all sides before you make a decision. So this is just an example of probably some of the things you did when you were deciding on your major. So this whole part in chapter 1, they want you to think about this, which is the thing I told you. Critical thinking equals, and you need to write this down. That would be the only thing I will say in addition to what I said. Critical thinking means then what? You're going to examine your assumptions. You're going to ask the critical questions, and that will lead to problem solving. Please write that down. That's the most important information from this PowerPoint on chapter 1, when they talk about critical thinking and life decisions. And then they give an example, and I've already talked about the example, so we're going to keep it moving there. Okay, now, as I looked at and I told you, we went over what's going to be covered in chapter 2. There are 4 key things that the publishers feel are very, very important to chapter 2. 1, analyzing visuals. 2, how to annotate. 3, what is plagiarism? And if you notice, you have 4 YouTube videos on plagiarism because that's a big thing. And then the 4th PowerPoint is about using context clues. These are strategies that you should use as you are reading your textbook. You know, you want to read with a strategy. You want to read smarter and not harder because you all have more than one class and it's a lot of reading. And as I said earlier, you can't go back and read every chapter 20, 30 pages over and over again. So we're going to go over chapter 2 in that order. So the first one is analyzing visual aids. And that's like your charts and your graphs and your diagrams. So when you look at any chart, graph, table, diagram, all that kind of stuff, first thing you want to look at is the title, because as you know, the title gives you the overview or the main idea of what it's about. So that's what they talk about the title. So this is about fish consumption advisory. So that's the title. So you automatically going to turn it into a question. What about it? And then they give you the information. They usually will give you any symbols or any criteria. If it's a chart, they'll give you the vertical and horizontal axis and with the measurements, etc. And sometimes they always give you the source of where they've gotten this information. I'm sure this is just a review, but just in case you've forgotten, these are things when you're doing your survey of the material that you need to run your eyeballs over. If you see charts and graphs, please don't just look over them. So again, I've already said quickly what's the main idea, and you got that from the title. And then you're going to read the information when you go back for your study read. Visual. What would the visual mean if it were posted on a riverbank or lakeshore? This, of course, means what we know this means not to do, prohibited. Okay? So this means prohibit, do not do that. Do not eat this fish. Must be something in the water, mercury. They talk about that sometimes. So the purpose, who is this? The purpose is to inform the public, of course, and the people that lives in the area or fish in that area. So it's a public service announcement kind of thing. So that would be the audience, anybody that would go there to fish. It says, can you imagine circumstances which bias may play a role? Yeah, I guess bias could, but it's just for all of us as a safety measure. So this is just going through how you would read that, how you would determine the audience, the purpose, etc. This is another chart. another visual, and this is a graphic, infographic as they call them. So again, you look at the title, and this has outline of the main thing. Analyze this graphic. Content, image, titles, captions, symbols, the whole 9 yards. The same thing you would do when you're reading a textbook, an article, etc., a chapter. Same process, only this information in your visuals are more condensed. It says it's harder than ever for dads to balance work and family. Nice picture with the child on top of the dad. And then they looked at the workforce. Here, all parents, single parents, and dads only. So they're showing you the difference, how the changes have occurred in the workforce. Okay. Again, it's the same kind of thing when you analyze graphic information. The title, principal images, 50 to 7 million adults, and all of these, 1/3, all of these are very important. You look at this info, what does this mean? Okay. Who is this audience for? Well, it's improving health through research. So probably would be more so the audience would probably be for scientists, any medical professionals, because they're talking about sleep or wakefulness disorders. So that's one thing we're going to go through. That's one thing that you need to learn to do, is to make sure of how to look at your images, how to get the main ideas, who the source is, how to read the information. That's not a hard thing for you guys to do. Just a review. I'm sure you already know how to do it, but that's what they wanted you to know. Second thing is annotation. I've talked about annotations before. That is taking notes in the margin. That is summarizing the section or the paragraph along the way so you know what information it contains. I suggest using the Cornell note-taking method, but again, you can use a method that works for you. You want to write down the salient points and details so you can just go back and study your notes. Let's see what this chapter suggests of how you should annotate. Annotation strategies that work. That means you're going to mark information. There are two things. When I do my workshops on note taking, I always say there are two things that guide your note taking. One, if it's new information you not heard before, or two, if it's relevant to what you're studying. If it's something that the professor is going to put on a quiz or some type of assessment, you have to be able to discern that. What is the most important? If you already know the information, then of course you don't need to mark it down because it's already in your prior knowledge. So you want to mark down things that's relevant and that's new information that you don't already know. It says most people know it's important to have good listening skills, of course. You have to actively listen. And because most of us speak more words than we think about 120 words a minute, but we can think about maybe 500 words or so a minute. However, sometimes our minds will wander. So that's why actively listening is the key word there. That means you have to intend to remember. You have to focus yourself to remember on what the speaker is saying. Again, I talked about highlighting. And again, the research says that if you're going to highlight, you should highlight less than 10% of the page. And you don't highlight articles like the and all of that, just the main points. So like they said, demographics, that's a term. It said is a field of study in which collectors collect and assess data. So you didn't have to highlight is a, you just want the short, concise definition, demographics, field of study, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, okay? Short and to the point, sparingly, just the gist, G-I-S-T. If there are any vocabulary words that you run across that you don't know, then you should circle them and look them up. Okay, if you don't know them, because if you don't know the words, it will impact or hinder your comprehension. So take the time to circle them and go back and look them up. Then you may need to reread that section. These are metacognitive skills that you should use all the time. Not only in this class, these are study strategies you should use all the time when you're reading your textbooks or scholarly articles, etc. Some people, if you are visual learners, they will use different colors, different color highlighters or pen. I don't. It didn't work for me. I use the same thing. I use yellow, and that worked for me. I didn't have to differentiate in colors because I knew that if I marked it in yellow, it was what I needed to know. Now, sometimes I would use an ink pen if I had to number something, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if it's stages in a process or steps or something like that, then I will indicate that with an ink pen, but I always highlight it in yellow. You do what works best for you. That's going to help you remember the information. So sometimes visual learners use more than one color when they are taking notes. If that works for you, then I suggest you do it. Okay? It says talk to the text. You probably heard that in high school. They were always saying talk to the text. And that simply means writing down key questions, things you want to remember, or your assessment about a particular passage. Talk to the text. That's what that means. How many of you use that strategy in high school? Because I know it's not new, it's been around. Anybody use that strategy in high school? Talk to the text?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And that may be where the different colors, like in this example, come in. Excuse me. You know, you think that that's a true statement. Is it? Do you agree with it? Is it a question about something that's said in that text? You know, so talk to the text is, that's what it means. Ask relevant questions that you think about as you've read that. And then you read for the answers. One thing about reading, you want to make comparisons to what you know, and also make comparison or associations to things that you've read in other classes. Make comparison to things that you may have seen on the news. But again, you got to be aware of that fake news. But that just means that you want to make association with other textbooks that you read and other things that you've observed in your life experiences. So that will help you retain information and yield better understanding as well if you can associate it with something else that you've read. And again, it says here, develop a system of codes. That means you can use your own abbreviations, or you can use something that we call focus read. Focus read is a technique that if you run across something that you really like, you may use that exclamation point. It's very interesting. Something that you run across in your reading that you have a question about, you will put that question mark next to it. And then some people use the star for the main idea, so that it can help you focus your thinking when you're reading the information. So it's called focus reading, that you can use that. That's a strategy that I've often taught in college and in high school as well. Say something. Some people don't want to, a lot of college students with the intent of returning their textbooks don't want to write in a textbook because they want to get the maximum. You're not going to get that much for it, but I understand your thinking if that's what you need to do. So if you really don't want to highlight all in your textbook, I think it's probably going to be the same amount of money. Bookstores have a set price of what they use, and they only take back a certain number of books anyhow, because they're in the business of making money, so they want to sell new textbooks. So they're only going to take back a certain number of textbooks. It's probably going to be the same amount, and it's not going to be anywhere near what you paid for it. So I didn't do that practice myself. I don't know. But at any rate, if you're the type that you don't want to write in your books a lot, then you can use post-it notes. And then you put those notes in the area that you're reading, and you put your notes on sticky notes, if that's what you want to do. There again, even if you use post-it notes, you want to use short bullets, short terms. You don't have time, and of course, they're not big enough for you to write a whole paragraph anyway. So you just want to identify the main bullets that indicate the main points of that particular passage or section. And then we've already talked about summarization. You need to summarize every section and definitely the whole chapter. But in this case, you'll probably have different sections in your textbook because they're going to cover different parts of speech, different categories. So after each one, you should summarize it in no more than 2 or 3 sentences tops, what the main idea of that particular section or what that particular skill was in your own words. Very important. You want to take ownership of it. Okay? So that's about annotation. That's the second point that they wanted you to know about chapter 2. And I think we already know about plagiarism, but again, we're going to go over that. That's a big thing, so we won't have to spend a lot of time on that. Of course, you know that plagiarism is presenting someone else's words or ideas as your own. You don't give them credit. It's better to give them credit. Even if you are paraphrasing, you have to give credit if it's not your idea. Sometimes people will say, well, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't realize I was doing it. I only changed a couple of words, that kind of thing. You guys, I don't buy it. You know what plagiarism is. You know how it's done. You know what people do. You just don't do it. You know, I don't buy that. I didn't know Dr. Wilson. Fortunately for me, in teaching this course, I am obligated to go over what plagiarism is, but we're not doing any long essays here. But really, the idea that you do not know what it is and that you made a mistake is not an answer. You're going to get an F. You're going to, if you try to appeal it, you can go all the way up to what they have, the student code and all that kind of stuff. Just don't do it. You need to learn the information for yourself. Give credit where credit's due. It's just that simple. And of course, we know how to avoid it by simply giving credit where it's due. You know, like in this situation. You all have, I think we have Safe Assign. Your teachers and that have requiring papers or any type of research or analysis, they may have you use Safe Assign. That's the plagiarism detector on Blackboard. That's what they use. Or they may have you do turnitin.com or some other site like that. So again, it says when you use someone else's words, give credit to the source. Okay. Then it says use attributive tags. You know, that the first lady, if they have a particular title and all that kind of thing, so you'll know that who said it. Standard English kind of thing. If you talk about Michelle Obama first and you're continuing on, then you use the pronoun she said, then we know that that she said is referring to Michelle Obama that you talked about in the previous sentence. Okay. Again, a lot of people like to cut and paste, like to go and buy a paper, take out a sentence or so. It's easy for your professors to ascertain that because we look at your reading prior to that. I mean, we look at your writing prior to that. And if it's not of the same caliber, it's easy to detect because, I mean, some people turn in papers that are written by an expert, and here you are, a first year college student, and we know there's no way that you have the background knowledge, the requisite skills to have written a paper of that caliber. So again, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Then again, it says, anytime you use a source words idea, give credit. That's the bottom line. And that's what that is about. So again, this is just a review. You're going to be looking at plagiarism 4 times this week when you do your YouTube videos. It's a very important concept, so all of the instructors have to put that in their curriculum. So you can't say, hey, I never heard that word in my life. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that looks like. That would be a tale. So the last series, the last skill that they think is relevant that they're going to be talking about in chapter 2 is context clues. And everybody knows what context clues are. That means that every time that you're reading something or every time that you're taking an assessment, sometimes there will be words that you may not know, and you will not have a dictionary or your cell phone available. So with that being said, if you run across an unfamiliar term, then you have to figure it out. And there are some clues that you can use to figure out the meaning of the word. First of all, you're going to read the sentence above, the one that has the unfamiliar word. You're going to read the sentence following the word to see if that would help you give some meaning to it. And there are some other kinds of clues like synonyms, antonyms, examples, explanation, which we'll see. Other clues that will help you if you know your root words, affixes. So let's see what it says about how you can use context clues to help you determine meanings of words when you don't have a dictionary or you can't use a cell phone. So context clues help you figure out a word's meaning without having to use a dictionary. I said that already. And these are the types of context clues you can use. If it gives you the definition right in the paragraph, if it's a synonym, that's a similar meaning. If it's an antonym, the opposite of the term that you're trying to figure out. If they give you an example, if it's general information or it's based on your experience, your background knowledge. So these are ones that you can use. So this is definition. So it simply means that the definition of the term is in the paragraph. Sleep apnea. And what is it? It tells you. You see that comma? It tells you a condition in which a person stops breathing during sleep. Okay? And that's a big serious thing sometimes because now they have a lot of sleep clinics and some people have to wear those masks. They have Bill, what's that, Star Trek, William Shatner. He's talking about how he has to keep his machine clean and all that kind of stuff. So it's a serious a problem because you actually stop breathing during the night. You can do that many, many times. Synonym again is a word that means similar to, okay? Lethargy, okay? What that means, same thing as tired. You're lethargic. You heard some people say, oh, I felt so lethargic. I'm tired, broke down, physically or mentally. Same thing. So you say, okay, I know a word that's similar to that. So that's like a synonym. Antonym, of course, is the opposite. You know what antonyms are: day, night, boy, girl, up, down, etc. And this one says innocuous. So that's innocent, of course. You know that innocent, you know what innocent means. So the opposite of being innocent is deadly. Innocuous is like harmless, and then deadly. So you can use anonyms to figure out some words. An example is sometimes they give you the example of it in the paragraph. So it says sleep apnea is associated with other serious afflictions. So I said afflictions, and then they say such as, or for example, or for instance, heart attack, diabetes, and stroke. So that means these are other serious conditions, physical conditions as well, afflictions. And so they give you the examples of afflictions: heart attack, diabetes, and stroke. And then there's something that you can use your background knowledge, things that you've seen in life, you have observed or read in some other instances, just your general information. I went camping to have fun, but the serendipitous results of the trip was a diagnosis that may have saved my life. Serendipitous is like the same thing as fortuitous, like, oh, really? Something just occurred that was beneficial. So if you didn't know what that was, then you can say, yeah, I've had some things in life. Oh, I can relate to that. That must be what it is. So we're not going to have time to go Moai and colonize and hewn and quarries, deity. Because there are other things. So those are the 4 skills that you will encounter in chapter 2. Now, I went over the homework. Hi, Natia. I saw that you came late.
Hi,
I
I'm
sent
sorry
you.
about that, Dr. Wilson. I don't want to make excuses. It won't happen again.
No, I just said I saw that you arrived. No problem. I'm not
Yeah,
fussing. Things
okay.
happen. You all are adults, and I'm not going to, I'm just going to keep it moving. Let's say that.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now, this is what I want you to do. In preparation for this, you're going to have a practice exercise. I sent you all the practice exercise at 10:30. It is over parts of speech because that is a key skill that you guys need. The basics of grammar. That's what you'll be working on when you do your English Connect, the parts of speech and all of that. I'm going to give you an in-class quiz next Monday on the parts of speech because you would have worked tirelessly on building your vocabulary and chapters 1 and 2, that kind of thing. But I'm going to let you do that in pairs. So I emailed that to you because it was too much for me to type to put it on Blackboard because it's a practice exercise. So I want you to take a break because it's 11:50. I want you to be prepared. I'm going to break you into 2 groups because it's 4 of you. You guys will need to pull up or print out. I don't care how you do it. If you don't have a printer, you're going to have to write it down. I want you to write the answers to those questions, each area of parts of speech. It has the directions. It asks you the questions. Like if it says, I want you to write down the 3 nouns in this sentence, the 2 nouns in this sentence, or whatever, or the nouns in this sentence, just write the answers down. So if you can do that, that's by putting nouns. You can put nouns and you can number 1 through 10 and put the answer. And then you can go to verbs and whatever, if it's 10 questions, 1 through 10 and put the answer. I will put the answers up before you leave class so that you can see how well you did. If you got a whole lot wrong, you're going to have to study a little bit more to get an understanding. Pay attention when you read than unit 1 on parts of speech. So this is an idea of what you already know, but you can work with your study buddy. You are not getting a grade on this assignment. The reason being, I want you to get experience and exposed to it. So, because your grades, all those grades you have, they are going towards your academic record. And you are going to see parts of speech again. So I want you to be prepared. So we're practicing. Got a lot of grades and it's on and popping now. I want you to realize that it's on and popping. This is probably the workload. So I want you to do well. Please read and study and annotate. Go back, reread your notes. Don't understand it the first time, reread the passage again. English is such that they give you the rules, they give you examples of the rules, and all you have to do is be able to apply those rules. You know, it's not hard, it's just that you got to pay attention to detail. So please come back at 12. I will have you broken into the groups then. Pull up that document over the parts of speech and work collaboratively together. And before you leave, I will pull up the answers so you can check and see how well, if you're on the right track. That means that you'll probably do pretty well on your assessments. Okay? Everybody heard me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll see you at 12.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Alright. I was having a little bit of issues a minute ago.
Oh, you're fine. Okay, so a noun. We have to write them down.
No, you print it up at all?
I didn't print it, but I have it like on my computer.
I think you'll have to write down, like, for instance, the nouns in each sentence. You gotta, like, it says to underline each noun of the following sentences. You'll probably have to write it down, which one you think is the noun.
So the noun in first one,
Like, Jason enjoys the
Jason.
movies at the France, about France. It'll probably be Jason in France, because that's a place.
Yeah. Okay.
Musician plays at the marching songs. I'd say musicians.
Yeah. Okay, number three, music lovers thrill to the sound of trumpets.
I would say trumpets because it's a thing.
Trumpets.
But I don't know if music lovers would be.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because it's describing the person. I think that's an adjective.
Yeah.
And you can't just put
And then,
lovers as a person because that's just.
yeah,
Yeah. Boys and girls are often eager to listen.
boys and girls.
Yeah. The conductor moves his baton vigorously. I would say baton and conductor.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no death penalty for criminals in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. I would say Puerto Rico is the place for noun. And I don't think criminals is a noun.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. The explorer crammed his scientific instruments was launched on January 31st, 1958.
I would say the Explorer because I think that's the name of the ship.
New Mexico was admitted as a state in the 20th century. New Mexico.
Chester Arthur was nominated for vice president by the Republican Party in 1880. I would say Chester Arthur.
Yeah.
Hi, Elena and John. Both of you are in the team together. Did both of you pull up the assignment? You're just putting the answers down, right?
Yep.
So you can
Yeah.
discuss the answers. Okay, I'll probably bring you back by 12:40, so that you can look at the answers and see how how correct you were. About 12:40, because it's a lot.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Do we have class Monday?
Yeah, is it the holiday Monday?
Yeah, Memorial Day. I think it is.
I don't know. I think we would.
Alright. I mean, I'm
And
not.
then,
Alright.
are you doing anything?
What, Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Don't know right now because I usually work full time, but the plant's shutting down, so.
Um, you work full time and do this? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we do summer 10? Winston Churchill was the man whose courage led the nation from defeat to victory. Winston
Yeah,
Churchill.
I think Winston Churchill. Pronouns.
Pronouns.
So it's first person perspective, or you're speaking to someone, that's a pronoun. So does that mean
Yeah.
we don't put, like, for instance, the first sentence, you and John, you wouldn't put John, you would just put you? Because that's the pronoun? And they're just asking
Yeah.
just for the pronoun?
Yeah.
Mr. Gunter gave us the record, which was just played. I would say us.
Yeah.
She cried loudly, and each of us heard her. I would say she and us again.
They felt flattered. Oh wait, we're on number 3, right? No, we're on 4.
4.
They felt flattered by our attention to them. They
I would say
is
also
on the,
our.
yeah.
Because they're still, like, it would be the same as saying us. I think. And you're writing all this down?
Yeah, I'm writing on all the
Okay.
answers.
Everyone
Number 5.
felt.
Everyone and them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking back up at the definition.
Pronoun is like to describe a noun, right?
Yeah, because
To describe what, yeah.
it says I, it, you, he, she, we, them, whom. So it would have to be. She sent
Number
them. I say she, them, and him.
1.
They collided near the school. I would say they. Solving the traffic problem taxes the imagination of those who have the responsibility of it. I would say who. And it. For number 8. Yeah, I think it's who and it.
Me too. He says anyone who enjoys driving under today's traffic conditions must be crazy. He who, yeah.
Yeah. Some take up hobbies because it is fun. I would say it. And some.
Yeah. Adjectives. An adjective modifies the meaning of a noun or pronoun.
So it basically means describing the noun, like in the example, which one? His daughter, that man, my dog. You know, it's describing the nouns of daughter, man, and dog. Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
So a pronoun is used in place of a noun. So instead of using a noun, you use like a pronoun.
I think that's later, though.
An adjective, so it describes a noun. So his daughter, that man, my dog.
Yeah. Alright.
So the interior plateau of the Union of South Africa is called its belt. So
I don't think the is a.
no,
Because it's describing the place, it's the international plague, just like it would be the White House of.
yeah.
It's a title.
Um,
Could it be called? Can called be a adjective?
I don't know. Let me read the definition again. An adjective modifies the meaning of noun. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking interior plateau, but I'm not sure if that.
I still think that's describing the plateau. It's like it's like saying the living room of the house.
Yeah.
Unless it's Velt. It's Velt. Because you're describing what the interior of the plateau gives.
I think it might be. The reason why I said interior plateau is because it's describing what they're talking about, but I don't think it is.
Well, let's simplify the sentence
But
a little bit more. Why don't we just say,
I honestly think it's belt.
I think it's Velt too because it's putting a title onto the interior of the plateau.
Yeah. So we'll put that one for.
There are
Okay.
countless millions of gaseous bodies called stars. I think stars would be the noun.
What about countless?
Yeah, because you're saying countless millions. I was also going to say the gorgeous bodies called stars because you're saying the adjective and putting the name to the adjective, I think. Oh.
Should we put countless and then gaseous bodies?
That's what I kind of want to go with, and my gut's telling me about that.
Okay.
Baseball, enjoyed by millions cheering fans today, was played here in Merry, England before 1839. I would say cheering.
Enjoy.
I think enjoyed would be the verb.
Yeah.
Because I think you're saying cheering fans. I think the cheering would
Let's
be the
describe
adjective, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're not just saying fans, you're saying they're cheering fans. Sir Walter Reagan was a famous statesman and a bold explorer. I would say bold.
Oh,
His many projects to settle America was unsuccessful. I would say settle.
Um, let me. What about many?
Yeah, I could see many, and I still. You think settles wouldn't be?
No.
Okay. He even made a long voyage to the hot lands below the equator to search for gold. I would say below.
Yeah.
After the
After the death of his beloved queen, he was arrested for being a disloyal citizen. Disloyal?
Yep, because you're describing the citizen. His adventurous career came to an abrupt end when he was executed for piracy in 1618. I would say abrupt to be the because you're describing the end as a subtle end.
One second. I'm trying to. Did we do number 4? Yeah, we did. Okay. Number 1's about 2, countless, gaseous. 3, cheering. 4, bold. Right?
Yep,
5, many.
yep. And then
6, disloyal.
no, you missed number 6.
Number 6 was.
Below, hot lands below the equator.
Okay. And then number 7 is disloyal.
Yep,
And we're on number 8.
yep.
What adventurous?
Yeah, his yeah, because career is a noun. And would you say abrupt end or just? I think that's a verb.
I, I think it's a verb.
Yeah. As college admission standards continue to rise, tension and anxiety build to ridiculous points in college preparation seniors.
Build?
No, I think that's a verb.
Rise would be a verb too.
I would say to the point in college preparatory because they're describing the seniors being college preparatory, right?
I was thinking like I don't know if it's. I think it might be rise.
Yeah, because it's rise and then tension and anxiety. As I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
25 students attended reading class during the first term. Um, attended.
That's what I'm thinking too. Alright.
Okay.
Verbs. Often the verb is the action word in the sentence. Describes the action verb be and its form was, were, are, is, am. Do not really show action, but state of being or relationships between the adjective and the following. The verbs be, lab, tutors are helpful. The verb may consist of one word or the main verb. May contain one or more helping words. Some helping words are has, am, were, might, should, be, are. Like the man screamed loudly. What the man do? He screamed. So screamed would be the verb.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
All the men were old. The adjective would be old. So the subject would be men.
A micron is a unit of length.
Unit?
Hold on, read the definition again. That's what I was thinking. Often verbs, action, word in the sentence. It applies to act.
Maybe unit would be the verb.
Yeah, that's what I put.
All right.
There were over 1,000 millimeters in a yard.
1,000 millimeters because they're talking about the yard.
I think it would just be 1,000.
Can numbers actually play as a verb?
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe it's over.
Maybe it's over 1,000, like the whole statement. Because you could have things like all men have been screaming, and they have been screaming would be the verbs. So maybe it is
Okay.
over 1,000.
Number 3. Reba was the Saxon goddess of beauty.
Goddess?
Yeah. Or is that a noun? Maybe
Oh,
it's
that's verb.
beauty.
Maybe it's beauty being the verb. Because you're describing the goddess of the beauty.
That's what I put. Gold melts at 1,063 degrees centigrade. Melts.
Century? Oh, yeah,
I
it
think
could be
it's
melts. Yeah.
Egyptian measures about 1 1/2 of the size of Texas measures.
Yep. George Washington Bridge is located between New York and New Jersey. Between.
Yeah.
It can be seen spanning the Hudson River. I would say
Seen?
spanning. Yeah, it would be seen because you're doing the adjective. Or doing the verb.
Automobiles have been crossing it since 1931. Crossing?
Mm-hmm. It is ranked as the second largest bridge in the world. Ranked.
Yeah.
It is constantly being painted. Constantly. Or being.
I think it's constantly. West Point, which is located in Hudson Valley, houses the United States Military Academy. Houses?
Yeah. Normally it would be a noun, but you're describing it as a verb. It is over 150 years old since it was established in 1802.
Over?
How about in? Because I'm still looking back, and you have was, were, are, is, am. Can be forms.
You said it?
In. It is a noun.
What one are you on?
Number
The
12.
11? There
11
is
we
one
said.
in. It says it is over 150 years old since it was established in 1802.
That's what I'm thinking of
Oh,
in.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's in.
Because I'm just looking back, I printed it up, And I got the other sheet right beside it, and I see was, were, are, is, am, can be a verb.
Yeah, I think it's in.
Yeah.
It was established by an act of Congress and opened with 12 cadets. Opened.
I think
I
that's
think
an
it's open.
adjective because you're performing the opening. I think it's with.
Okay. Many visitors go to West Point and watch the dress parade on Saturdays. Watch. Because isn't the verb like an action that you're doing?
Yeah. A verb is an action word in the sentence. So you're performing the action of watching the parade. Okay. The officers trained there were taught to live democrat. I don't fucking know how to pronounce that. In order that they may be better protected our domesticated way of life. Are
I think it's live because it's like an action you're doing.
it could be
It's
are
described.
and live. This one's it feels like there should be a comma in this sentence, but
I'm gonna put live.
yeah. I'm just looking back and I see are in bold as has, am, were, might, should, be, are, be.
We can put both, or you can put the one you feel.
Yeah, I know some of them had a doubles. Alright, adverbs. Definition of adverb is that it is used to modify or limit the meaning of a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. Like, go slowly, look carefully, walk there. The underlined words modify the verbs. The answer is not too accurate. The underlined word modifies the adjective. Watch carefully, closely. Watch very closely. So the
Okay.
name Sirocco is often given to warm winds. I'd say
Hold
give
on
it.
a second. My computer's being weird.
Oh, no problem. Were you the one who emailed me like last week?
I don't think so. Who emailed you?
I don't know. Someone was like asking about the book issue, like where to pick it up. I just kind of replied back like, "Hey, go to the Detroit one," and then just ignored it.
No, I got my book, but I have to get a binder for it because it's like
Yep.
doesn't have a binder, and hopefully I don't pay $45 because I already paid like
Yeah.
almost 100.
Yeah.
I don't want. That's bullshit.
Yeah. And I gotta pay everything out of fucking pocket.
Yeah, me too. My mom helped me get the book, but I still owed her money, and like I'm thinking about all of my other classes I have to pay for, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I had to go to 3 different colleges, and right when I finally picked up the book, I went out to my car, and she just wrote me up a parking violation,
Are you serious?
which cost
I'm
me
so
$45.
sorry.
And then I had to go to, and I was, because of that, I ended up being late for work, and I work 2 to 11, and
Where do
that,
you work?
here in Belleville, I work at a factory, and
Um,
yeah, like last night, I didn't even get home till like 2 o'clock because we had a lot of fucking issues. Like I build something called a drive shaft for the Ford Mustang and the Lincoln Navigator.
oh. Okay, my computer's back on.
Okay. Just in case, here, let me give you my number in case you ever need to like contact me for anything else.
Okay,
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
734
Okay.
330 9661.
Okay. Okay, an adverb definition is a word that is used to modify or limit the meaning of a verb, adjective, or another verb. Examples: go slowly, look carefully, walk there. The underlined words modify the verb. So,
So it's almost like anything with an ly, mostly.
yeah, it's to describe a verb, adjective, or another adverb. So, number one, the name Sirocco is given to a warm wind, so it would be warm.
I was almost thinking given, because they're telling. Because I'm thinking, when someone's saying walk there, I'm thinking like a parent telling their child type of thing, like go there. So when having that same type of attitude, the name Sirocco was given to a warm wind, the warm wind being the noun, and someone's given, like telling.
Okay. Okay, number two, it is usually given to a warm wind blowing over large areas of hot, dry land. Um,
Usually,
yeah.
such winds now occur over the area of our Great Plains. Over?
Mm, yeah.
Originally, Sirocco was a name used by people of North Africa. I would say originally.
Yeah.
This point, I'm just looking for anything with an ly. Fuck. It was not used for ordinary wind.
Ordinary,
Yeah.
describing wind. Okay.
It described the very hot, dusty wind that comes from the south. I would say dusty. Because they're describing the wind. It comes quickly from scorching Sahara Desert. I would say quickly.
Quickly.
Yeah. This extremely hot wind is um, menace to life. I'd say extremely.
Yeah.
It continues, always fills the natives with fear. Always.
Yeah.
The biting bits of sand dig deeply into the eyes and the skin of those caught in its fury.
Deeply.
Could it also be fury? Or is that just the adjective?
I think that's the adjective.
Yeah.
Preposition. A preposition is a word that shows relation between two or more things. Some prepositions are to, at, by, on, in, into. Prepositions are positional words. Think of these phrases. The knife is on the table, under the table, beside the table. The knife went into the table. Okay, so it describes the relation between two or more things. So number one, there are 64 mountain peaks in the United States over 14,000 feet high. In
Yep, that's gotta be it. The state of Colorado claims 48 of these tall mountains. I would say of.
yeah,
The highest of them, Mount Whitney, is in California. I would say of and in.
Mount Whitney rises to the height of 14,490 feet. 2.
Yeah. I'm coming back to at, by, on, in, into. Yeah.
Colorado claims the possession of the second highest mountain of.
Yeah. Does that mean in the previous sentence it should be of 14,495 feet?
Yeah, I think it's 2 and of.
Okay. Mount Albert is located in Colorado. In Colorado.
Yeah.
It reaches the height of 14,431. Of again.
What is the preposition to?
In the previous one?
Yeah.
Is located.
Yeah. What would that be?
It could be because it's still describing the location. You know how they were saying in like the knife is on the table, under, beside. So it is located.
So I think it is an in.
Yeah. Because they're saying it is located.
Okay. It reaches the height of 14,431. It and of.
I think it is the noun though. Because you're saying
Oh, that's true.
it
Or maybe just
reaches
of.
the. Yeah, I think it's just of. Have you ever had the desire to climb to the top of one of those peaks? These peaks? I say to climb and to the top.
So 2.
Both the twos, because it's to climb and then to the top. It may be of,
Mm,
both the
yeah.
ofs. Mount Evans in Colorado has an automobile road, which you can take to the top. I would say in Colorado.
2.
Can it be has?
I'm not sure.
Well, what happens to
The
preposition?
preposition has an object, noun, or pronoun. So
If you go back to the sentence, the knife is on the table. Could you say the knife um, has the table, or the table has the knife? And that would
was
still.
that underlined? Was has underlined?
I'm looking, and they don't. They don't have that as that type as a sentence.
Is it connecting? I
Well,
think we could try has. I think it's a good
yeah,
thing.
cause
So into and has.
yeah, cause Mount Evans in Colorado has it's already a state of being, just like the knife is under the table, beside the table. It's a state of being, I think.
Okay. Riding in a car is the easiest way of reaching the summit of one of these awesome immestivities. Immensitives. Um,
In
sorry, I wrote this down.
in a car. Um,
In of. I think it's in and of.
but you think it's all three ofs or just
I think it's all three because it's connecting them.
yeah, because you're describing one of these immense, awesome immensities. All right.
A
Conjunction.
conjunction is a word that joins words groups groups of words, or complete sentences of an equal value. Example, Lucy and Ed, or so I'll read that. Coordinating conjunctions join words of groups of words of equal value. Example, Lucy and Ed left the door open. He is going to school, but I'm going to work. He is going to school, however, I am going to work. Subordinating conjunctions are words that make one group of word dependent clause dependent upon another group of words independent clause. The group of words beginning with subordinate conjunctions would be a sentence fragment by itself.
Yeah.
Examples: when I came in.
He left. The statement being when. He left because he was late, and the state was because. And so
So it's
for the
like it's a conjunction of the word that joins words of groups.
so Janet and Jonah are twins, but they are different in many ways. I would say the word and is like Janet and Jonah, the word being um, and then but. These are continued sentences.
So and but.
Yep. Because you could easily have the sentence Janet and Jonah are twins, and you could have that as a sentence, and that's Janet and Jonah is being a conjunction, I think.
Okay.
All right. I hope you all had an opportunity to finish. I am getting ready to put the answer key. You need to check and see how well you have done. Hopefully, you did so fantastic that you won't have to worry about the forthcoming quizzes that you're going to be taking, okay? Hold on a second. I'm going to clear. Okay, I'm going to bring up the answer key so you can look and see how well you did. Have to wait for a minute. Okay. Document. Parts of speech. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I want you to look through it and quickly make sure that you have the answers. I got to move it down because it was a lot of work you had to do. So when you finish the first page, let me go. There are 4 pages because I wanted to space it out so everybody could see. Somebody say or type next in the chat when you want to go to the next page. But you want to finish it up before the end of class.
Next.
All righty.
Next.
So overall, how did you guys do? Were you familiar with most of the answers? Or you got a little bit of work to do?
Mm,
Yeah, I definitely got some work ahead of me.
little work.
But just make sure that when you go over the chapters, because chapter 2 and it's going to talk about vocabulary, but the parts of speech unit 1, you're going to have to go over that very carefully. Also, I put the PowerPoint, in your content. I think you just have to review it, but make sure you don't go take those quizzes and assignments on English Connect unless you study, because you want to get the highest grades you can. And for that, you want to have the right answers in your book so you can transfer them to Blackboard. So if you all have the answers down, again, I would encourage you all to quiz each other. You could go into that course room on the Blackboard site at a designated time and talk about it, because these grades are starting to come in, will be starting to come in this week. So I want everybody to do well. Have a good holiday. Do your homework first, okay? Be safe.
Okay.
All right, bye now.
Bye-bye.
Have a
You're
good
welcome.
one.